Hello everyone and welcome to Game 2 in a series between Evil Genius's Huck versus Mouse Sports' Thorzin here on Dual Site. Dual Site, one of those maps that are not currently part of the map pool, only 2 spawning locations, which generally leads to very fast games as the rush locations are, fairly decent, and there's not that many expansions. You don't normally see macro games, but we'll see how this particular game opens up. Huck spawning on the top right-hand side of the map. This is patch 136, so they did not fix the overlay in the top just quite yet. Meanwhile, Thorzin spawning on the left side of the map as the red Terran. Terran versus Protoss here on Dual Site should be a great matchup, and we'll see what these players will be opening up with and what they're going to try to execute. Thorzin doing a bit of a surprise for me, and able to take a game off of Huck in game 1, and I believe it was able to take a game, otherwise I am misremembering, and able to deal a decent amount of damage early on, and it was really effective with Ghosts, Marines, and Marauders. Huck unfortunately was not able to really capitalize on all of his Colossi, even though there was a little bit of miss micro in the first matchup with some of those Vikings. But after those Ghosts were able to come up, I believe, into that center portion of the ramp, get off multiple EMP shockwaves, the Vikings were able to finish off those Colossi. That was really the beginning of the end as we now move into Game 2. Thorzin this time opening up with a little bit more of a standard build, getting a refinery as opposed to going into a gasless expansion. I mean, he will be able to train up a Marine, and I like this play by Thorzin. Thorzin, knowing that in the previous matchup in the shipyards, he was able to perhaps try to sneak that out, had a Marine on the ramp at the natural expansion, denied the probe any sort of scouting, and then was able to build the command center a little bit earlier and able to turn it into an early macro lead that translated into the victory. Meanwhile, we are going to see the SCV on its way out, pretty much a very standard build coming in from Huck. He has the assimilator, the second pylon, and the cybernetics core, and based upon the timing, it looks like he actually went for cybernetics core first. And after looking at that, cybernetics core first is not your normal build. So that cybernetics core is a little bit earlier than normal. And normally when you see that, that means that you will be seeing perhaps a 3 or 4 gate. The second assimilator is down. A stalker now going to be trained. Going to chrono boost out that stalker, but not chrono boosting the warp gate tech. So that is rather odd. He got the cybernetics core just a little bit earlier, getting the stalker now faster, but not increasing the warp gate tech at all. Now, back over here, you can see a probe is patrolling, keeping control of this Xel'Naga tower. A rather strange-looking Xel'Naga tower, not your standard doodad, as a stalker now makes its way out, trying to chase after this SCV. The SCV will activate the Xel'Naga tower, quickly spot that there is a stalker right behind it, and decide to back off. We are now getting some sentries up. And what else is warping into play? It looks like it is a robotics facility. So you can see Huck doing a good job of just trying to hide his tech in every which location. This poor SCV most likely will get destroyed. Unable to cut through those minerals in time. There are 3 Marines up on that high ground, and it looks like it's going to be a swap into perhaps Hellions? I'm not 100% sure. It looks like he does have control of these buildings. He may be trying to do a swap in just a moment. No, double training Marines and then adding a tech lab. The probe trying to come up the ramp, 1 shot away from near death, but able to back off. Now, strategy-wise, both players not macroing up. It looks like Thorzin may be trying to do... And with this armor, he may be trying to do a rather strange build of Thors and Marines. And this strategy is very effective against Protoss, who tend to over-rely on sentries. All of the abilities of the sentries are pretty much neutralized by the Thor. He's massive, able to break down force fields. His attack is fast, but also very high damage, so reducing the damage with the Guardian Shield from 30 down to 28 times 2, not that big of a difference. And then more importantly, the Guardian Shields, as I already mentioned. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of Marines and a Thor trying to do a push out in just a moment. Now, we do see a Nexus back over here by Huck. Now, if what we'll most likely see from Thorzin, Curious that he is not currently mining any gas at all, just trying to get a lot of Marines out, as he does already have enough gas for a second Thor to be trained. So now gonna do a liftoff, going for one Thor and then swapping it around. This is a rather curious play, now going into double Hellions. So the observer did spot this though, and this is going to be a rather strange opening. We are going to have some SCVs join in on this fight, and this is definitely one of those cheese moves, as Stalkers are going to now try to pick off some of these units. 2 Stalkers now pushing in because these Marines did not group up with the rest of those units. SCVs are coming in as well. There is the Observer, as they are now going to be pushing their way across the map, and the Stalkers with the superior range though, going to deal a lot of damage. An Immortal now being trained, very important, as the Immortal will be able to fend off this Thor fairly well. 2 Observers in the air. Hellions also being added in order to counter any Zealots which may be trained, as the Marines are there to try to counter the, the Immortal. You're going to see that this Nexus is going to quickly fall. Zealots are now going to try to come in and engage. There are probes on the coming in as well, and now in comes the fight. No, the Thor is focusing too much onto the Nexus. Zealots are engaging. Both sides are battling. The SCVs are not repairing, and Thorzin losing his Thor due to not repairing with those SCVs. The Marines are still pushing in though. Hellions did a lot of damage and to the Zealots as the Marines are continuing this push. Once again, it looks like one Stalker will get taken down, and a lot of Marines still here trying to focus down this Nexus. The Marines have to be careful though. They do have a very limited amount of life, as they're going to try to continue to push up this ramp. SCVs need to be very careful. Why aren't they on auto repair? I'm not sure, as the SCVs could do a decent amount of absorb a decent amount of damage. Stalkers now up on that high ground, as Huck now most likely going to lose his natural expansion. We have currently a probe hiding off over here, so we could have some units warping in along that backside because there is already a proxy pylon, and down goes that Nexus finally. Taking a look at the worker count kill, 7 versus 15. The Hellions and the Marines continuing that push once again. The Immortal has regenerated all of its shields, and now the Stalkers are once again going to try to chase after these Marines. The Marines will perhaps just try to turn around and engage, but then they will be forced to deal with sentries and an Immortal as well, as the units are desperately all running back. More Stalkers now warping back over here. As I mentioned, that proxy pylon was previously set up already. You can see the Marines are up on the high ground, but Observers giving sight as well, as more damage being done. Still, Marines now trying to turn around. Hellions going to try to re-engage there, and now the Hellions and the Marines going to push. There is a couple force fields. The force fields are going to actually make it difficult for Huck to push his way through, as the Stalkers get caught up a little bit. There's a scanner sweep. Down goes the Observer, as Thorzin now making sure that he has that high ground superiority. SCVs are on auto repair, and the Marines able just taking a lot of damage there, as a second Observer now up on the high ground. Gas or income count, 640 versus 500. Very interesting. A much larger army in terms of minerals by Thorzin, but no gas whatsoever. Spoke too soon, as Thorzin now getting up 1 siege tank. Stalker is able to shut down and destroy this supply depot over here on the far side, as the Marines do not want to go over and try to engage at all. Stalkers now once again on the bottom location here. Hellions going to be doing a bit of a push. The Observer still on the high ground. No scanner sweep at just quite yet, as the Hellions trying to be very careful. That siege tank has to be very careful. It does have superior range. A range of 7, and now finally getting siege tech, taking down the Observer, and this counter push has been pushed back, and now we should be seeing a little bit more of a standard play. Very defensive postures coming in from both sides most likely, and we'll see how Huck will try to battle his way back in. Taking a look at the harvester count, 25 compared to 20. Huck is behind economically, especially when you add in the fact that there are mules most likely going to be coming in as well. It looks like the SCVs are going to be doing another push. Hellions are making their way down. No sentries in this group at all, as the siege tanks Marines are now doing a bit of a push here. The Marines do not have any medevacs for support, as 3 siege tanks once again make their way out. You're going to see that the Stalkers are going to try to keep pace with these Marines, SCVs, and Hellions. The Hellions quickly activating the Zelnaga Tower there. Both sides are going to siege up. The Huck's units need to back off, and able to back off after taking 1 round of attacks attack from those siege tanks. One poor Marine and a Hellion may get taken down there as the siege tanks are continuing their push forward once again. SCVs this time are on auto repair. Very important as Huck now desperately trying to regroup himself. This one Immortal that was able to regenerate all of its shields and stay in play may be the deciding factor, as two Immortals, even though the Immortal did take a lot of damage, still able to deal maximum damage, 50 damage per attack, as Thorzin now slowly stair-stepping his way with these tanks forward ever so slightly. This tank most likely will be unsieging, pushing up over here. You're going to see another siege tank being added. This proxy pylon has still not been spotted. Thorzin is in a bit of trouble as he has a lot of SCVs engaging in this battle here. Siege tanks are now pushing forward. Once again, I believe a blast will be coming in. Huck being forced to pull back. Doesn't want to engage. And this is all off of one base. Both players running off of 3,000 resource armies off of one base. Siege tanks continuing their slow push forward and able to deal a lot of damage. Double bunkers also coming in. And in comes the push here. And now the Immortal did absorb a lot of damage. In comes some force fields. Siege tanks are in the back. This siege tank unable to really do anything. This siege tank too far behind. And Thorzin may lose, loses one siege tank, but still able to choke out his opponent. There is a second way out of the base as the Stalkers are once again trying to engage. Siege tanks are once again pushing in. Will the Marines be able to do any serious damage at all? Another bunker now being built as well, as they may be coming in from behind. The Stalkers may perhaps be trying to go for a base race. No Marines at the Xel'Naga towers at all. The Marine perhaps should be trying to activate this tower to see where the other units are. There are some siege tanks back at home, and SCV now making its way out. More siege tanks being added, and this bunker may not be completed in time at all, as Thorzin may be forced to deal with a very, very aggressive push. Marines now up front as well. Down goes one Stalker, as the Stalker does not want to engage. The Marines are going to be back over here. That one bunker is going to be very difficult to focus down, especially without an observer. One SCV very far off over here. Huck going to spot this SCV and destroy it. Now, I think this is the first time I've seen a high-level game 17 minutes in, with both sides still running off of one base. Scanner sweep quickly onto the high ground. You can see Huck, two Immortals, all that is stopping, plus a couple sentries stopping what would be a very destructive push, as Thorzin does have a second siege tank. Now, the orbital command is lifting off and attempting to land down here. This may be a bit of an issue as both players are essentially mined out. Huck still has a bit of minerals, as this one orbital command now trying to make its way forward. It is going to be forced to pull back. Siege tanks are going to be in a very forward posture once again. Two siege tanks up on the high ground, as my daughter says hello. Orbital command now going to be landing in just a moment, as the orbital command now taking a lot of attack. This is not going to work out. It does need a pull back, and not quite sure what Thorzin is going to do. There is one siege tank finally on the low ground, now perhaps going to be able to offer at least enough cover fire, as a second siege tank going to be added as well. Two siege tanks, three siege tanks in total, one on the high ground here, forcing all of those Stalkers back. A Nexus has been snuck down over here as well, so it looks like there will be an expansion attempt, as now Huck goes into a Dark Shrine. Very interesting play, very brilliant move by Huck. Huck, knowing that Thorzin is only running off of one orbital command, he's not going to have that many scanner sweeps, and we haven't seen any starport units at all. So, without any missile turrets, this is going to be very bad, as the Stalkers were trying to push their way in, unable to do anything at all. And now in comes the Dark Templar of Huck. In comes the SCV trying to build. Oh, taking down the missile turret and the SCV that was over here. That means no additional... that means that we are not going to have any missile turrets for quite some time. A Dark Templar has made its way into the main base here, and now going to perhaps start slicing away. The refinery is perhaps the worst building you could be attacking at this point, and the siege tank's much, much better of a target. Stalkers now getting free hits on Marines. Not quite sure what this is about. Finally, the tank's going to go ahead and engage. Huck now losing a lot of his units needlessly, as Huck now trying to chase back those units once more. We have some Dark Templars pushing in as well. One missile turret. Dark Templars slicing their way through. May be able to destroy a siege tank. Yes, able to do so at the cost of two Dark Templars. Both very expensive units. But the siege tanks were in a much better defensive posture, as bunkers now coming in. Probes now being transferred over here to the 3 o'clock location. as Marines, Siege Tanks, and Stalkers are trying to fight it out here. A very intensive micro battle with very small armies as opposed to the normal macro battle that you see in Terran versus Protoss. I don't believe we've gotten into an army over 3,000 resources, or not much over 3,000, as a Dark Templar able to continue to deal a lot of damage still. The Dark Templar now perhaps going to try to sneak up onto that high ground. The missile turret may be able to spot it. No, does not. And all of these supply depots may get destroyed. And perhaps supply locking, no, going to go after that reactor first. The reactor, a very expensive building that takes a large amount of time to build. Marines are now making their way up. The reactor already down to 85 hit points. And now another Dark Templar was able to come in. This missile turret a little bit too far away. And Huck, knowing the exact sight range, doing a perfect job. The Dark Templar now going after the other tech labs and the other add-ons once more. It looks like we will be getting a scanner sweep over here in just a moment. There it is. The Dark Templar should have run off to the north. Not quite sure what this was about, as a second Dark Templar gets destroyed as well. Immortals going to be added. The Immortals are a very, very strong counter unit. Going to absorb a lot of that damage. Going after the siege tanks one at a time. One siege tank down. Multiple force fields coming into play, causing many of those Marines from being able to engage. However, the tech lab is still in play and it will not burn down. This expansion over here finally has some gas running. Income tab, much better for Huck at this stage. I believe he has more workers, 27 compared to 18. And the food count very much in favor of Huck. 72 food army. And we are now 23 minutes into this game. How is Huck going to shut the door on this play? We now see a Warp Prism coming in. And a Warp Prism being able to warp in Dark Templars onto the high ground would be very, very effective. Bunkers salvaged down over here. Thorzin perhaps looking to push out and establish another expansion at some point. The Warp Prism now making its way across the map. You can see that there's not many gateways, only 4 production buildings, including that robotics facility. And now we are finally going into a Templar archives. All of these Stalkers, maximum shields, very low hit points, as a Warp Prism warping in Dark Templars along here. Not quite sure why he didn't just pick them up. Is he going to pick them up and drop them into the main base, and then perhaps add a couple Stalkers as well to help deal with those Marines? We are now going to see Dark Templars dropping in, perhaps warping in additional Dark Templars. There is enough gas for this, as now that tech lab is going to get destroyed. The reactor is going to get taken down as well. And now just trying to lift off these buildings to try to save it. All of these supply depots may get destroyed as well. And that's going to be a very, very hard hit for Thorzin at this point, as he cannot lose any of these buildings so needlessly. Just running around, losing supply depot after supply depot. Marines are now trying to make their way in. This Warp Prism will get shot down by those Marines. Yeah, unable to save it in time, as now that Dark Templar trying to get some revenge. And now there is one missile turret down over here. The missile turret is close enough to reveal this Dark Templar, but the Dark Templar backs off. Thorzin now looking to destroy more supply depots, and now you can see, is going to lose more supply depots, as Huck able to supply block his opponent. 55 over 38. In comes one scanner sweep. Dark Templars having the same movement speed as those Marines do not have stim. No stim means unable to catch up, and now the orbital command with not enough energy for another scanner sweep will allow these Dark Templars to run free once more. Armory will get taken down. Supply depots will get taken down. 56 over 35, upside down on food, and it looks like it will continue to be that way for a little while longer. Huck now playing it very safe, building up another Nexus at finally his natural expansion, holding his opponent off. You can see Thorzin has transitioned his main base to his natural expansion, but this is still not looking very good at all, as it looks like this armory will get taken down in addition to this refinery. The Dark Templars here will force a lot of these Marines to stay in, and Huck losing a Dark Templar needlessly. Perhaps he wanted to free up some supply, not 100% sure, as the Stalkers now able to take down a reactor. So a free and easy takedown there, as the siege tanks were unable to focus down that Stalker, and now one Dark Templar pretty much denying all this space up on the high ground. Now, more Immortals have been added. We do have the robotics. I thought we had the robotics bay at some point, but it might have been canceled, or I may just be misremembering. More pylons being added once again. Assimilators, double assimilators coming in, as Huck is doing a very good job of denying his opponent any expansions. Thorzin being forced to turn around once again in order to perhaps wait a little while longer. Marines are in position. One Marine does get pushed back, and this is going to be a very, very difficult time as the Marines are now pushing down over here. There's a lot down on the low ground. Zealots and Immortals down here, and these siege tanks are going to start stretching themselves thin. There's a lot of ground to try to defend against, as this one command center will finally land, and Thorzin secures himself another 16 mineral patches. Stalker is able to come in, get in a round of attack on those siege tanks before blinking out, and we'll see what will be happening here. Huck now blinking in, or was able to blink back. This one pylon will get destroyed. SCVs quickly getting destroyed as well as the Marines are pushing in. It looks like, yeah, 2 of those units will get destroyed as a Dark Templar are able to run away just in time, and now gonna hide off in the corner until a siege tank finishes him off. There's a Dark Templar up on the high ground, and that Dark Templar is doing a large amount of damage, and now gonna be able to run into the main mineral line here, as Thorzin is now out of position, losing SCVs once more. Siege tank now getting back in position, perhaps will be able to siege up, as the SCVs are now transferred to the low ground 3rd base. It is Thorzin's 1 base compared to Huck's 2 base right now, as the medevac may get destroyed. Oh no, not destroyed. It looks like there was a small drop happening over here. Another round of warp in from Huck should be able to finish it off. A Zealot does have charge, able to finish off this Marauder with ease there, as now we are going to have another large battle, and now there is Thorzin with the GG. Well played. So Thorzin losing Game 2 in this best of 3 series. Stay tuned for Game 3.